What have you predicted that came true? Did people believe you beforehand or afterwards? When I was 12 I had a dream where I learned from a firefighter that I would have exactly 2 children, and they would be boy-girl twins. I told many people about this because I was absolutely 100% certain it would be true. When we were just dating I told my future wife about it to make sure she was okay with carrying and raising twins. My boy-girl twins graduated high school this year and are getting started in college. Their grandfather was the fire chief of his town. Damn, that's crazy. On an 8th grade trip to Washington DC someone asked where we were going and I for some reason said we were gonna pass the Statue of Liberty, which was definitely not the case. About an hour later we pass a mini State of Liberty and some body of water on the drive. No idea why I even said it. I had no idea that was there. Edit. Found it. https://www.atlasobscura.com places mini Statue of Liberty Harrisburg. A few years ago my old neighbor was out walking her dog and I was sitting in my car smoking a bowl when I saw her and thought she looks sad. I should say hello, I wonder how she's doing, but I didn't speak up because I didn't want to bother her and I was smoking pot, so I didn't want to get out of my car. 2 weeks later she committed suicide and I felt so bad that I didn't say something when I was thinking about it. I once made a bet with someone that Amy Winehouse would be the next member of Club 27. Oh crap, my time to shine. Picture it, the 1st of February, 2004, a bunch of us over a friend's house watching the Super Bowl. Halftime rolls around and as we mill about getting snacks, the lukewarm halftime show is rolling on the TV. I was watching it thinking about how little I could care about what I was seeing. I turned to a friend of mine there and said, man, the only thing that could save this halftime show is some boobies. And seconds later, Janet Jackson's titty flies out. Agape. We all stared at her boob and then at each other. I have felt guilty all these years thinking it was my fault that her half-exposed fun bag crippled her career. I had a dream, more vivid, realistic, and emotional than my usual dreams, that my sister got into a nasty car accident on the highway. I woke up as soon as the impact of the crash happened. I called my mom asking where she was because nobody was home. She said she was on her way to where my sister was because she had totaled her truck on the freeway. It was totally surreal. One night, my girlfriend woke me up at night. She was shivering and sweating at the same time. Looked me dead in the eyes and said, we need to get to Papa's house now. Lucky for us, I listened without giving it a thought and we drove to her dad's house, still in our pajamas with no shoes on. We unlocked the door. She has a spare key as her dad lives alone. And so her dad slouched over a chair. Turns out he had had a heart attack and she dreamt him asking for her help. We got him to the hospital in time, thankfully. Like OP said, totally surreal. I took as many math classes as I could in high school, American. My freshman year, I doubled up and took a more advanced class along with the normal class, so I had one class with juniors and seniors. In that class, the teacher joked that you should always listen because he might say a random word and then ask for it on the test the next day. I might say, blueberries. You never know. He never ended up asking for it. Anyway, fast forward a year and I'm in the next math class with my normal classmates who had never heard him say that, and he did it again. He essentially repeated the exact prompt. So right before he said blueberries, I was ready. We both said it at the exact same time with the same pitch and cadence and everything. Everyone freaked out. I explained how I knew, but even so, most people thought I was a genius. Nope, just good at remembering insignificant details. Not exactly predicting, but I've made jokes about people and pets dying and they died within a day of me joking about their deaths. 2 instances stand out. My dad was a deacon who had been assigned to 3 different churches. The pastor at the first 2 he was assigned at had both died recently. I joked to my dad that his current pastor should keep an eye out because he'll be next. I got a call from my dad later that day saying the pastor had a heart attack that morning and was found dead. The second instance happened when I was a kid. I was being an asshole to my little brother one morning and told him as a joke that Roscoe, our pet dog, had been hit by a car the night before and was dead. The next night Roscoe was hit by a car and was killed. To this day I feel guilty over killing Roscoe and being shitty to my little bro. It was an early lesson in karma. Got an urge, out of the blue, to call an old friend I had not seen in at least a decade one night. Someone who had been nothing but kind to me. Even called my dad at 9 PM to see if he could get in touch with any of her relatives. They are in his social circle. And get me her number. Was not able to get her number. She shot herself that night. Many regrets. When I was a teenager, I told my parents I had a bad feeling about a house we were going to rent. We did a walkthrough and the place just didn't seem right to me. I begged them to renew the lease in our apartment and not move. We moved anyway. Well, it turns out the house was very, very old, and I feel very much that it was haunted, and the landlady was actually a manic crackhead. A few months after we moved in, a fire broke out in the wall next to the wood-burning stove in the house. Fire marshal concluded the fire was actually due to old, faulty wiring in the wall, and not the stove. Crazy landlady blamed us anyway and made our lives hell for the rest of the time we lived there. Years later, my mom admitted they should have listened to me when I said we shouldn't move there. Removed. I always thought those Asian nail painting places were full of slaves. Turns out I was right.